Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a mind-blowing historical parable. We're talking about the ultimate test of willpower. It's the legendary story of Amrapali, a woman of absolutely unmatched beauty, and a young monk who faced a completely impossible situation. Now, this all went down 2,500 years ago, but as you're going to see, it gives us this incredible, profound psychological blueprint that is literally exactly what we need for our lives right now.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. When you hear the word lust, your brain probably jumps to the first definition, right? A physical, romantic, or sexual urge. But take a look at this second definition. A very strong desire to have or get something. For our modern world, we really need to redefine this concept. Today, that overpowering, uncontrollable urge, it's usually sitting right there in our pockets. It's digital addiction. It's the doom scrolling, the desperate need to check just one more reel before bed. That right there, that is the modern face of lust.
So that brings us to Act 1, the modern face of lust. To figure out how to beat this modern addiction, we actually need to travel back 2.5 millennia to the ancient kingdom of Vaishali. This is where Amrapali lived, and she was widely considered the most beautiful woman in the world. I mean, kings, emperors, wealthy merchants, they were literally lining up outside her palace with fortunes in jewels just to get a moment of her time. Her beauty was so staggering, it actually sparked wars and bloodshed between rival princes. Crazy, right? So to stop all this violence, the king makes a drastic call. He declares her the bride of the city. Basically, she belonged to everyone. She was showered with immense wealth and palaces, sure, but in the process, she was totally stripped of her human dignity. Men just came to her for pleasure, treating her like a public treasure rather than a human being. So day by day, she's feeling less and less human. But then, one afternoon, the whole story flips. She's looking out from her balcony into these chaotic, noisy streets, and she sees a group of monks walking by. The crowd is going absolutely wild, shouting her name, but one young monk totally stands out. He doesn't look up, he doesn't even flinch. He's just walking with this profound, unshakable peace. So, completely intrigued, she goes down to greet him. And when he looks at her, he doesn't see a prize. He doesn't see an object of desire. While kings were offering her massive fortunes, this young monk just smiles and offers her genuine human dignity. She is so moved by this rare respect that she does the unthinkable. She invites him to stay at her palace for a meal, and then to stay for the entire 4-month monsoon season.
Well, the monk calmly accepts, but with one condition. He has to get permission from his teacher, the Buddha. Now, when the elder monks hear about this, they totally panic. They rush to the Buddha, freaking out, warning him that Amrapali is a danger, that she's a seductress who's going to ruin the young monk's life and destroy their whole reputation. But the Buddha, he is perfectly calm. He sees this as the ultimate test of the young man's meditation and awareness. So he actually grants permission. He tells the elders, look, if the monk's practice is shallow, he'll fall. But if he returns, it's going to be a profound lesson for absolutely everyone.
Which leads us directly into Act 2, 5 Steps to Master Desire.
And so begins this intense, 4-month psychological battle of willpower behind those palace doors. But here is the crucial point. What's truly incredible about what happens next is that the monk's ancient survival secrets perfectly mirror modern psychological science. See, when he finally came back and explained how he survived, he gave 5 confessions. And it turns out, these 5 ancient confessions map exactly, perfectly, to the framework laid out by modern psychologist Daniel Goleman in his groundbreaking work on emotional intelligence. Goleman argues that to defeat any strong emotion or addiction, you have to follow 5 specific steps. Pause and observe. Don't suppress. Redirect energy. Reframe meaning, and give it a purpose. You see, the monk didn't just instantly conquer his mind on day 1. It was a seriously escalating battle. Week 1 was all about pausing and labeling. Week 2, that was a highly dangerous struggle with suppression. Week 3 required him to actively redirect his physical energy. Fast forward to month 2, and he actually had to change how his brain perceived the temptation altogether. And finally, by month 3, he had to elevate the entire experience to a higher purpose. Let's break down exactly how he pulled this off, and more importantly, how you can do it too. Okay, so in his first confession, the monk explained that on the 3rd evening, Amrapali brought him some tea. He smells her jasmine perfume, and suddenly, his heart just starts racing. His breathing gets shallow. He feels this incredibly powerful urge to pull her closer. But instead of acting on it, what does he do? He applies step 1, pause and label. He doesn't freak out or panic, he simply observes his physical reactions. He just silently notes to himself, my heart is beating fast, my breath is short.
By pausing and actually putting a label on those physical feelings, he completely stripped the emotion of its blinding power. And think about how we can use this. When you feel that sudden mindless urge to grab your phone, just pausing to say out loud, you know what, I'm feeling bored right now and I have the urge to scroll. That immediately weakens the impulse.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates the next phase. In his second and third confessions, the monk admitted that at first, he actually tried to fight the temptation by suppressing it. He would clench his fists, grit his teeth, and literally tried to force the thoughts out of his head. But here's the thing. Forcing himself to suppress the desire only made it stronger. Goleman notes that suppressing emotions is basically like holding a lit firecracker in your closed fist. It is absolutely going to explode and destroy you. So, the monk realized he had to shift to step 3, redirecting. Instead of fighting that intense energy, he channeled it. When the overwhelming urge hit, he'd start intensely cleaning his room, doing chores, just focusing incredibly deeply on his breathing. He took the raw energy of that desire and redirected it straight into physical tasks until the urge finally faded away. But eventually, by the second month, he realizes that just avoiding her isn't going to cut it. He has to apply step 4, reframing the meaning. So he actually invites Amrapali to sit down and speak with him. Up until this exact moment, his brain just saw her as a beautiful object of desire. But as they're talking, he looks deeply into her eyes and he sees this profound, tragic sadness. He listens to her life story, how literally everyone used her, how no one truly cared for her as a person. And in that moment, his brain completely recategorizes her. All that dopamine-driven desire, it was instantly replaced by profound empathy and deep compassion for her suffering. And we can actually use this exact same reframing technique for our own modern addictions. Changing the way we look at our mobile devices instantly weakens their addictive grip on us. Think about it. If you've used social media as this fun little treat, you're always going to crave it. But if you mentally reframe the algorithm as a manipulation tool, something deliberately designed by engineers to steal your time and sell your attention, it completely changes the game. You instantly shift from being this passive consumer to a critical observer. The second you see that endless scroll as a trap rather than a reward, your brain's reward circuit just quiets right down. Let's move to the final piece of this puzzle and see how this all builds together. By the 3rd and 4th months, the monk applies step 5. He realizes you can't just kill off emotional energy. You have to give it a higher purpose. He decides to use the fire of his temptation not as something that's going to burn him, but as actual fuel. He takes all that immense emotional energy and uses it to teach Amrapali meditation. He dedicates his time to helping her heal that deep inner suffering. He literally turned his own internal, personal struggle into a mission to serve another human being.
And that brings us to Act 3, the power of self-mastery.
So the 4-month monsoon season finally comes to an end. The elder monks are waiting super anxiously at the gates of the monastery. They've basically assumed the young man is gone forever, completely lost to temptation. But then, one morning, the heavy wooden doors push open, and the young monk just walks right in, looking as calm and peaceful as ever. But what left the entire assembly in absolute shock was the person walking right behind him. It was a second monk, someone with a shaved head, wearing plain robes, who had given up immense wealth and giant palaces. It was Amrapali herself. Because the young monk completely mastered his own mind, he didn't just survive the ultimate temptation. He actually totally transformed her life. She finally found the peace and dignity she had been denied her entire life, and she committed the rest of her days to the path of meditation. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with the Buddha's final lesson to those panicking elder monks that day. He pointed out to them that their panic wasn't actually about Amrapali at all. Their true fears were actually their own hidden, unmastered desires. As he said, it is better indeed to conquer oneself than to conquer others. Our modern world is literally filled with digital Amrapalis. We've got endless feeds, constant notifications, and instant gratification constantly fighting to conquer our attention. So, my question to you is this. The next time you feel that uncontrollable urge to reach for your phone, are you going to let the temptation conquer you, or are you going to use these 5 steps to finally conquer yourself? Think about that for a bit, and I'll see you in the next explainer.